Hey Janice, I'm going to do my best to walk you through how I read this pattern. I thought it might be most helpful if I did a little video. Bear with me as I try to get all the angles right. But I want to speak to embroidering as well as knitting with multiple yarns at the same time. Here on this page where it's talking about the letters to personalize the stocking and it talks about embroidery, that is the only place this pattern wants you to embroider. And you may know how to do this already, I'm guessing you do, but I'm going to quick do a little demonstration if I can. So for embroidering, you work from bottom to top and from right to left. Let's say I'm going to start right here. I take my embroidery needle with contrasting yarn. I'm going to go in at the bottom of one of the V's. That's not the bottom, there's the bottom. I'm going in at the bottom of the V from the back side, pull my yarn through, go behind both loops of that V that I just went in at the bottom, go behind, pull my yarn through, and then cross over to make my stitch, inserting the needle back where I first went in. And pull the yarn through. So that's my first embroidery stitch, and because I'm working from bottom to top and from right to left, my next stitch is going to be right above that. At the bottom of the next V, pull my yarn through, go behind the two loops of the V, pull my yarn through, and insert my needle back where I first brought it out. Okay, so that's the embroidery. And for the embroidery, let's say I did 2 stitches on top of each other, so that may have been for the bottom right 2 of the A, for example. When I get up to the top, the crossbar of the A, I can go ahead and do the crossbar. It doesn't really matter what order you go in. I can go all the way up the A, or I can go up halfway the A, do the crossbar, and kind of work my way around. There'll be some stitching on the back. I don't think that's avoidable for embroidery. So for the design of the stocking, the pattern is written in such a way that they don't want you to embroider this part. You probably could. I don't think it would come out looking quite as clean on the front. They want you to use multiple strands of yarn at the same time, which most likely will mean there's some messy looking part on the back side. I think that's avoidable. That may be beyond my skill set, depending on how you do it, depending on how you carry the yarn, if you carry it up the edge. I'm going to show you how I change colors in the middle of a row. I'm going to show you on round needles because that's all I have. It's going to look a little bit different, and like I said, I'm not going to be able to carry up the edge on round needles because the whole knitting style is different. Also, I was taught how to knit by somebody who was left-handed, so that may look a little weird as well, but hopefully it gives you an idea of how to change the yarn in the middle of a row. It is possible here to do double knitting the way I was doing the pig pot holder. I don't think that makes much sense because with double knitting you have all the yarns going on at the same time. So if the background of my stocking is going to be gray, but I want to put a red cap on the kitty, I would have to start my red yarn and keep it concurrent with my gray yarn the whole time, and that's a lot of yarn to keep track of. So instead of double knitting, I'm just going to change yarn in the middle of the row. So let me do a couple of stitches here. I'll do 2 stitches, and then I'm going to change my yarn. 1, 2. Now for my red yarn, I want to bring it up from behind my tail here. So I'm going to join my red and my gray here, and then I'm going to bring my red behind this tail to make my loop when it's time. Let me get my stitch. Now it's time to loop. So I'm going to leave the red yarn hanging down and bring the top of the red yarn over the tail of the gray yarn to make my loop. Oops, see, there's my loop. Going into my gray stitch, and now I have a red stitch. I'm going to do that again. Pull my red yarn to make a loop, go through my gray stitch. Now I need to go back to gray. So in order to do that, let me pull my gray tail over the red tail on the back so that it's on top of it. Get my stitch, make a gray loop. I'll do that again. So I still have my gray tail and it's over the red loop. So I have my gray tail and my red tail going on at the same time, and I'm going to do that until I'm done with the red, at which point I can go ahead and cut it because I'm done with it. You can see how here on the back, let me turn this around. Because I put the tail I was using on top of the tail I wasn't using, it kind of hugs the other tail, the one you're not using, underneath the one you are. So all you see here on the back is gray because the gray is holding the red in place in the back, if that makes sense. I don't actually know if any of this makes sense. I'm happy to help more if I can. I'm happy to come in person and kind of go through the pattern with you and how I do this. There are lots of other YouTube videos out there about how to change your yarn in the middle of a row. Hopefully this was of some help. Let me know if I can do anything else. Hope you have a great day.